The old constraint of an essential bond hath linked them in my mind. Opposed they stare, twin silences that through time's other wear the ruin is past, thus each to each respond. One with mysterious gaze that sees beyond the straining suns, calm as the voidness there, and one with eyes like deserts of despair, flameless as granite, clear as diamond. They gaze across the past, yet thought must see that eve of time when man no longer yearns, grown deaf before life's sphinx, whose lips are barred, when from the spaces of eternity, silence, a rigorous Medusa turns, on the lost world, the stress of her regard. Hello and welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host, Liam, aka Hembar, and today I'll be doing a spoiler-free review of Tim Powers' The Stress of Her Regard. Stress of Her Regard is a 1989 novel by Tim Powers. It is standalone. It is historical horror fantasy type of thing. The title itself comes from an epigram in this book, which is the Sphinx and Medusa poem by Clark Ashton Smith, which I just read for you. It is, again, a horror / fantasy novel. Might as well call it gothic, actually. Let's just call it gothic. Well, I guess there's, it works. The characters are Byron, Keats, Shelley, Polidori, and so forth, and they encounter vampires or vampire-like creatures. Crawford is our protagonist for, a good chunk of the story. He loses a ring by putting it on a statue, then loses his ring finger and his wife on his wedding night because the statue is not just a statue. It's kind of, there's an ironic sense of creepiness instead of the normal creepy things freaking people out. It's kind of like people who don't believe in zombies being in a zombie apocalypse, but it very, very quickly becomes spooky and weird. The irony is good. I haven't read any other Tim Powers as of now. This is my first Tim Powers read, and I loved it. But Clark Ashton Smith uses a lot of irony himself. The descriptions in the adventure is very moody. It's full of supernatural, lamia, and vampire and succubus stuff, or succubi rather, all in one, but also just sort of crude, as medicine and life was back in the 19th century. I don't think I need to mention it, but it's sexual. Like many romantic tales of vampires, a tad more explicit since it's more modern as well. Not terribly so, though. There's some cool magic, nothing flashy, but rather authentic. A decent amount of sex, which I've heard some people complain about, but I think they must have missed the idea of magical creatures essentially enchanting people here. The story arc is rather long and fraught with peril, but it has a very nice ending to contrast the gray and perilous journey. Though I would say, again, it's maybe a little too long for my liking. I think it could have been cut down a little bit. What's cool is we also have like Mary and Percy Shelley, which, who live in Marlow, and I think it's mentioned here in this book, which is, of course, of Warlord of Marlow fame. But I think this one, again, having this gothic feel, this horror, and just so much of this gothic idea to explore, really just opens it up for enjoyment. There's epigraphs. So they have this epigram where the title of the book comes from, but there's also epigraphs for each chapter, and we have Byron poems and Shelley poems and Swinburne poems as well. I don't have the book in front of me, but there are probably other authors as well who have excerpts in these epigrams, and it really brings to life this sense of weirdness in like a historical place. It's really dour, and it's really, again, it's just really gothic, and even right because the gothic stuff is taking place in gothic settings, like the gothic architecture. There's even a little bit of that here actually, so I think the label of gothic, a modern gothic novel, works pretty well actually. But anyways, this is a book I really enjoyed. I feel like all of my fans, really all like 3 of them or whatever, would enjoy this novel. I'm looking forward to more Tim Powers. My next one will probably be his new book, which comes out later this year, published by Bain, but we shall see. That one is about the Bronte sisters and werewolves, I believe. So anyways, I will catch you next time.